Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the most up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today is our trading anchor, Bill Olson, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. We're going to get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are ticking downward this morning, with S&P futures down 0.41%, Dow futures down 0.44%, and NASDAQ futures down 0.15%. Markets continue to fall this morning, both domestically and globally, while the dollar extends its rally as faltering growth and China's regulatory curbs are compounding risks. In light of the market pessimism, investors have sought the safety of haven assets, which is another reason why we're seeing the dollar rise for a fifth day. Gold has also climbed higher while treasury yields continue to slide lower. Over in Asia, markets continue to trade lower as they feel the effects of China's tougher enforcement actions. The Hang Seng Index fell 1.8%, extending its week loss to 5.8%, which is the worst it's done since March 2020. Over in Europe, losses were much smaller. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Well, the S&Ps are continuing to display weakness this morning, but, the good news is they are off their earlier morning lows. That's a positive. That Hang Seng dropping 1.8%. That market has entered into bear territory. The Hong Kong markets really are weak. Why? Because of the Chinese regulation, the Chinese regulatory crackdowns. China's authorities are calling for tougher oversight now of cosmetic firms, liquor makers, and online pharmacies. I also noticed that the Hong Kong lawmakers are setting out rules on how tech companies can now share data. These are all negative, implications going in for their markets right now. You look over at Europe, they're weak, led by autos and food and beverage stocks. One of the reasons the autos are weak is because of Toyota. Toyota just came out and they reduced their output expectations. Why? Chip shortages. Makes sense. Looking forward today, I look at the economic calendar and it's void. It's very weak. It's void of any catalyst that could really turn this market around. The market's cautious. They're concerned about economic growth. They're concerned about what's going to happen next week at the FOMC meeting. Are they going to say, hey, we're starting tapering, we're going to cut it off in one fell swoop, which is highly unlikely. You also got to think of these COVID vaccine, the rises in the COVID cases. That's not a positive, when you're seeing those cases rise. But next week, that Fed meeting is going to be very important. They're going to give us clarity on the tapering. A real change in monetary policy is highly unlikely. Expectations are for the tapering to start either in December, really in January, I'm thinking. And they're not going to just, cut it off. They're just going to lower it by maybe, 5% at first, maybe 10%. So it's going to be gradual. And that, I hope and I feel, might be positive for the markets once that news comes out of how they're going to introduce tapering, because tapering is already expected. My focus continues to remain on earnings because earnings creates short-term volatility, and I like that, Shane.
Well, let's go straight into that. Let's talk about earnings to watch, starting with what we've seen come in so far. Bill, why don't you tell us about it?
Well, let's start with AMAT. AMAT came out with earnings last night, and AMAT delivered a beat of 13 cents on higher revenue. You look at Ross Stores, that's ticker ROST, Richard, Oscar, Sam, Tom. They beat by 45 cents on higher revenue. Same store sales were up, 15%. It was a really good beat. But you look at the stock this morning, and it's actually trading a little lower. John Deere, that's David Edward, Deere and Company. They beat by 75 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. You look at John Deere this morning, and the stock is trading higher by 1.09%. Foot Locker, that's another one that just came out with earnings this morning. Foot Locker had an incredible beat. They beat by $1.21 on higher revenue, and you see that stock is up 6.45% this morning. Another retailers have been, they've been delivering, this past week. Buckle, that's ticker BKE, Boy Kilo Edward, stock's up 5% this morning. Why? Because they beat by 48 cents on higher revenue. So you got to be positive on the retailers right now, Shane. That's where the action is.
Let's talk about insights as far as upcoming earning announcements.
Well, Monday's a little, there's nothing this afternoon. Monday's a little light, but we do have Palo Alto Networks. That's ticker PANW, Paul, Apple, Nancy, William. They're going to be releasing Monday afternoon. The earnings estimate there is for them to come in with $1.43. Expected move here is 7.30%. Tuesday, this is when we see some more of the retailers come out. Advanced Auto Parts, that's ticker AAP, Apple Paul. Their expected EPS is $3.05, and the expected move here is 7.87%. Now, Williams Sonoma, that's ticker WSM, William Sam Michael. Their EPS estimate is $2.60, and the expected move here is 12.26%. I noticed the brokers are not really jumping in favor of Williams Sonoma going into earnings. Best Buy, on the other hand, that's ticker BBY, Boy Yellow. Their EPS estimate is $1.85, and the expected move there is 6.53%. Some interesting news articles if you read the historical news on Best Buy. Urban Outfitters, that's ticker URBN, under Richard Boy Nancy. Their EPS estimate is 76 cents. The expected move there is 10.49%, and it's in the retailing segment. So you got to look at that, with positive cautionality towards it. But that's what I have as far as upcoming earnings, Shane.
Moving into our economic reports, Bill, tell us what we're seeing as far as reports today.
There's only one real economic report coming out today, and that's the Baker Hughes rig count figures, which are going to be released at 1 p.m. Eastern time. It could create a little volatility for oil prices. We'll have to wait and see. The one event that I'm kind of looking forward to is the 11 a.m. speech by Dallas Fed Bank President Robert Kaplan. You have to remember, Kaplan has been the first, and he has been the loudest guy on the circuit, talking about the need for tapering. So this could be an important event. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see. He's going to start speaking at 11 a.m., and we're going to have to see if he starts giving us any indication of what he expects the Fed's tapering plan is going to be next week during the FOMC meeting.
Moving into our morning's critical insights, starting things off with one on Regeneron, ticker REGN. The UK has authorized Regeneron's COVID-19 antibody cocktail to prevent and treat acute COVID-19 infections. Regeneron's share price is up 0.51% in pre-market. News on AstraZeneca, ticker AZN. AstraZeneca's antibody treatment for COVID-19 has met primary endpoints in its phase 3 trial for preventing COVID-19. The treatment reduced the risk of developing symptomatic COVID-19 by 77%, with no cases of severity or death in those treated with the antibody. The phase 3 results makes AstraZeneca's treatment the first antibody combination that is non-vaccine, modified to potentially provide long-lasting protection that has demonstrated prevention of COVID-19 in clinical trial. AstraZeneca's share price is up 0.02% in pre-market. Elsewhere on the tape, the Federal Aviation Administration has proposed almost $532,000 in fresh fines against 34 airline passengers for alleged unruly behavior while on planes. As the summer has led to rebounds in domestic travel, it's also led to 85% of 5,000 flight attendants reportedly having dealt with unruly passengers, including passengers who have physically assaulted, threatened, or yelled obscenities at flight attendants. Many of these cases have to do with refusing to comply with face mask policies or following alcohol rules on board. So individual fines have ranged from $7,500 to $45,000. In other news, BHP Group, ticker BHP, recently submitted a report to the Western Australian Parliamentary Inquiry on the sexual harassment against women in its remote mines. Over 73 reports were made, leading to termination of 48 of the offenders of these cases. BHP's share price is up 0.8% in pre-market. In other news, update on Amazon's newly intended physical retail outlets that intend to open across America, starting in Ohio and California. The outlets, which will dwarf most other existing Amazon physical retail locations, will have a similar footprint to scaled-down formats that Bloomingdale, Nordstrom, and other department store chains have been opening. While Amazon's private label goods are expected to feature prominently at the stores, it's unclear which brands will be offered. News on Coinbase, ticker COIN. CEO Brian Armstrong tweeted last night that the company will invest 10% of all profits into crypto going forward. News on Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J. Johnson & Johnson has named Joaquin Duato as its new CEO effective January 3rd, 2022. Important to note that J&J's current CEO will remain as executive chairman. News on Facebook, ticker FB. Facebook announced that it's going to introduce its cryptocurrency wallet, Novi Digital Wallet, which will be tied to the DM blockchain system. The program will change money added to the digital wallet into digital currency in order to create ease of global use. Facebook's share price is down 0.25% in pre-market. News on Apple, ticker AAPL. Apple has pushed back the plan to return to corporate offices to January 2022 from October of this year amid a rise in COVID cases and variant cases. Lastly, for me, the Dollar Tree, ticker DLTR, plans to hire store managers and distribution center leadership during a 2-day nationwide management hiring event on August 25th and 26th. The company is looking to hire approximately 35,000 associates. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Well, Shane, I break my news alerts down into specific sectors. I'm watching the oil sector. I'm watching the semiconductors. I'm watching the FANG sectors. I monitor probably 12 different sectors every morning. In addition, I'm also looking for events. I'm looking for events such as earnings, buybacks. I'm looking for events that could create volatility in the markets. And when I break my news alerts down into these events, I just am able to jump on the price action before it gets priced in. I look at my FANG alert this morning. Facebook, the Federal Trade Commission filed a new version of its antitrust lawsuit against Facebook yesterday. They're seeking to jumpstart the case, which bolstering allegations that the company abused its monopoly position in social media. Google has David Feinberg. He's been leading their ambitious and sometimes controversial plans into healthcare. He's leaving. He's going to become the CEO of another company. So Google's healthcare division is going to be up in arms for a few weeks. Tesla, last night, Tesla had its AI day, and CEO Elon Musk introduced the Tesla robot. It's a bot, it's a humanoid robot with a screen for a face, and the prototype is expected next year. Just want to say, at these events, historically, they've never been able to really meet the timelines that they've given out. So it's interesting, but let's realize that they don't meet the dates as well as they would like to. Let's go move on to the Dow Jones 30 alert and talk about McDonald's. The global burger chain said on Thursday that it has nearly achieved the goal of sourcing all of its paper and food packaging in restaurants from recycled or sustainable fiber. Intel CEO is committed to buying other chip makers as the industry starts a consolidation process. And Walgreens Boots Alliance, that's ticker WBA, they're looking for a sales bump as the COVID-19 booster shots begin to start being administered. So that's interesting also for CVS pharmacies. In terms of the option market, I noticed that the CBOE, ticker CBOE, Charlie Boy, Oscar Edward, they raised their quarterly dividend by 14% late yesterday. On Wednesday, there was a rumor that hit that said the CME was looking to take over the CBOT, and that caused the CBOE stock to really spike. The CME immediately denied this rumor, but the CBOE stock continues to trade at a premium, and even though the stock's down 2% this morning, it's still at a premium. So I wouldn't be surprised if shares of CBOE continue to move lower. In terms of buyback news this morning, Spotify. This takes the cake. Spotify, ticker SPOT, Sam, Paul, Oscar, Tom. They issued a press release saying that they're going to buy back up to $1 billion worth of its stock. That's a big number for that company. Wyndham Hotels, that's ticker WH, William Henry. They're reinstating their buyback plans with their plan is up to buy back up to 191 million shares. So we'll see how that goes on for Wyndham Hotels, and that can create a sustainable upward boost in the share price or not. But that's what I have for this morning market notes, Shane.
Let's talk about our Trade Talk picks for today. I'm picking one I spoke about, AstraZeneca, ticker AZN. This is off the news of its antibody treatment for COVID-19. It's non-vaccine treatment that just met its primary endpoints for its phase 3 trial. So it's good news for them. And it'll be the first antibody combination that's not a vaccine to be able to provide long-lasting protection. So this could be a new breakthrough for the way to treat COVID moving forward. So it's positive news. It's innovative news. They're down a little bit in pre-market right now. It's down 0.14%. But I could expect this one going higher at the open and having some positivity today, going in the upward of $60, maybe a little bit below that. So that's my pick. What's yours looking like, Bill?
I'm going with Best Buy. That's ticker BBY, boy, yellow. Now, Best Buy is releasing earnings on Tuesday. You review the historical news, you can see that all the recommendations out there are positive. One of them even said, indicated that they feel that their sales are really have a positive matrix, but that was in June. Last quarter, Best Buy beat estimates by 88 cents, and they seem to be offering fewer discounts this quarter, which should be good for the EPS when it's released on Tuesday. Best Buy is priced for a 6.53% move. It's up just fractionally right now, but it has room to run higher as we head into that earnings date. So yeah, I'm going with a long position in Best Buy, ticker BBY today, Shane.
Let's go ahead and move into what's hot off the press. So the news that's hitting the tape as we speak, moving the stocks today. Let's talk about it. Bill, what are some headlines we should let traders know about?
Naked Brands, that's ticker NAKD, Nancy Apple Kilo David. Naked Brands group chairman says he's being selective about seeking a merger partner. That was done in a regulatory filing. T-Mus, that's T-Mobile, that's ticker Tom Michael under Sam. T-Mobile has identified additional accounts that experienced that data breach.
Tops, ticker TOPP, announced a termination of merger agreement with Mudrick Capital, ticker MUDS. Morgan Stanley just upgraded its rating on AbbVie, ticker ABBV, to $116 off of news that the company announced that the U.S. District Court had issued a decision on Imbruvica patent infringement against Alvogen.
John Deere, ticker DE. John Deere raised their income outlook after the strong results. Ticker GSL, Gray Sam Larry, global shipping lease credit rating was upgraded by S&P.
Illumina, ticker ILMN. The EU has opened a probe into Illumina's decision to close the Grail deal despite antitrust concerns. And this is a $7.1 billion purchase.
Ticker SV, Sam Victor. This is Spring Valley. Spring Valley announced a postponement of an extraordinary meeting of stockholders.
American Water Works, ticker AWK, said today that it has filed an application to set new rates for its Hawaii Kai wastewater customers, seeking to raise around $2.1 million in additional revenue. There's a market watch on Lowe's. Some analysts have concern that Lowe's will suffer more than its rivals as consumers increasingly head out of their homes. So basically, there's a decline in DIY demand versus last year as families transition back to pre-COVID purchase patterns. Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
No, that's all I'm seeing today, Shane.
Same here. So that's what's hot off the press. And traders, keep in mind, you can receive all the same breaking stories we do simply by subscribing at newsware.com. Check us out and get a free trial. Moving into how our picks did from Thursday, I had Ross Stores, ticker ROST. It opened at $123.04 and gradually climbed higher all day, reaching a high of $126.85 just after 1:30 p.m., which is a 3.09% gain. The stock closed up a little bit lower at $126.58 for a 2.87% gain from start to finish. So good move for us. How did yours end up doing, Bill?
I did Verizon. When I saw the way the S&Ps, I was really cautious, and Verizon's always a safety play. Stock opened up at $55.30 and hit a high of $55.66, which is a differential of 0.65%. The stock closed for a 0.14% gain on the day. Minuscule, I know, but in a volatile market like what we saw yesterday morning, it was a safe play. So that was my pick for yesterday, Verizon.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk. But traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.